Good day and welcome to our short demonstration and explanation of how to require Office 365 to prompt users for two-factor authentication. And you might ask yourself, well, what is two-factor authentication? Briefly, two-factor authentication is two things are required to access some resource. And you think, well, that's not very helpful. Okay, so let me tell you what it is in real life. In real life, it's something you have and something you know. So something you know is your password. I think we all understand what passwords are, so we're going to skip that. Something you have might be your cell phone, which is where we're going today. And your cell phone could have a second factor, such as a code could be texted to you, and you could enter that code. Or, in the case of what we're going to show today, you could use the Microsoft Authenticator app. The Microsoft Authenticator app is a simple, tiny little program that you can add to your cell phone, or your tablet for that matter, that will run in the background, and when someone tries to sign into whatever resource it's set up for, in this case, Office 365, it will prompt and say, hey, somebody's trying to sign in as you. Is this you? And of course, you just say, yes, of course it's me. And then you're on your way. So you've proven who you are because you know the password, that's something you know, and you have something like your cell phone with the app on it. So let's get to setting it up.
I'd like to interject for just 10 seconds and ask you to click like if you found this video useful. Our site is dedicated to explaining technology in simple ways and providing cookbook answers for technical problems. We spend a lot of time on Windows 10 and Windows Server. We spend a lot of time on Azure, Office 365, but mostly our products are about how-tos. Lots and lots of cookbooks like how to uninstall something when it's stuck. If you would click subscribe, we would greatly appreciate it. It really helps us with the Google algorithm. Thanks for your help, and back to the show.
As the admin, you need to sign into your portal and make a quick configuration change. It's pretty easy. So what we do is surf off to portal.office.com. Sign in if you haven't already. In my case, I've already signed in, so it's taking me right in. Click admin at the bottom left. Click Show All, expand Settings, go down to Org Settings on the left,
and scroll down to Modern Authentication, there, and make sure that the check mark that says Modern Authentication is enabled is turned on. If it's not, everything will work fine except Outlook. So if that's off, turn it on, make sure all of these things are turned on, and click Save. Mine's already on. Now here we're going to show you how to enable multi-factor authentication for a specific user or for everybody that's currently in your company. After that, we'll show you how to turn it on company-wide as a global default so that when new people come on, multi-factor is required for them too. Now it's more complex and it may cause problems, so that's not for everybody. Let's show you how to do it for one person.
Scroll down until you see multi-factor authentication. On the right side, select Configure Multi-Factor Authentication, and then select the person that you want to be required to use the Microsoft Authenticator app. So for instance, I can select this person, and then I can select Enable. Or I can click the checkbox at the top left to select everybody, and I can bulk update them by simply selecting Enable. Now, because I haven't let the rest of my staff know that I'm making this change, I'm only going to set myself to require MFA or multi-factor authentication. So I'm going to select myself and I'm going to select Enable. And if your users don't know what's going on, you can send them to this link, which is aka.ms/MFA setup. Let's just surf off to there so we can see what it says before we click Enable Authentication. And here we go. I'll select Enable Multi-Factor Auth. Multi-factor authentication is now enabled for the selected accounts. So that's mine, and you can see here it now says enabled. Now we just go back to that additional security verification page, which again was aka as in Microsoft, /MFA setup. And that URL or address, aka.ms/MFA setup, is not case sensitive. So you can do uppercase, lowercase, whatever you want. Now in my case, I have an unusual situation that you won't have. I already have two-factor set up in which it sends me a text. What I want to do, however, and what you need each of your staff to do is go to that page, which again is aka.ms/MFA setup. And again, it will redirect you to this page that we were just at. And what you need to do is select, I would like to be notified through the app, and I need to select the Authenticator app or token. And I'm going to select Set up Authenticator app. And it says what you should do is download the app on Android or iOS and then scan this code. So let's do that. So here's my phone. I'm going to go to the store. In my case, it's the Play Store because I have an Android. And I'm going to search for Microsoft Authenticator. And there it is, and I'll select Install. Now I've already had this installed and uninstalled a bunch of times, so there might be a couple of little things that look a little different for me than you, but I'll walk you through it. Select Open. You have to agree. And then select Scan QR Code. And it asks, well, do you want to take a picture? Do you want the app to use your camera? Well, of course I do. So there we go. So you can't see this, but trust me, the camera is now activated. I will go to this barcode with my phone. And bink, it found it. And you can't see this, but it automatically registered me, which is wonderful. So now my Office 365 account is registered in the Authenticator app. Now, let's go finish off the setup and use it. So I will click Next on this, as we're already done, and it will say it's verifying, and of course it's going to verify just fine. It just asked me, did I sign in? And of course the answer is yes. And now you can see it shows down here, the Authenticator app is my Samsung SMG960W, better known as an S9. And I will simply click Save. Now I have made a change to my preferred options, so of how I want to be communicated with. So I will click Verify. And again on the app, it's prompted me to approve that change. So I will say Approve, and bingo. That's done. Now this has taken me to my Office 365 profile, which I don't want you to see, so I have pixelated it.
Now, if you want to make this change globally so that not only your current users, but all future users are required to have multi-factor authentication, you need to go into Azure. And you think, I don't have Azure. I barely know what Azure is. Well, in fact, you do. If you have Office 365, you have Azure. Let's show you that. If you're not interested in that, because it is much more complex, just skip ahead about, probably 30 seconds, because we'll get through this quickly. But for those of you who do want to set this globally, just surf off to portal.azure.com, sign in. You're probably already signed in. At the top, do a search for Azure Active Directory. Click on it. Go down to Properties. And right here, Manage Security Defaults. Click on that and select Enable Security Defaults. And if you do that and click Save, all of the new security defaults, including multi-factor authentication, which Microsoft has been recommending for years, will be turned on.
So let's show you how this works in practice, in real life. I'm already signed into this browser, so if I were to test it with this browser, well, I would already have gone through the authentication process and it won't ask me. So I could log out and flush my cache, and that's just a pain. So what I'm going to do for demonstration purposes is simply use a different browser. You don't have to do this. So I'll use Firefox, and I'm just going to go to portal.office.com, and it's going to ask me to sign in. So I'll enter my email, I'll enter my password, and at this point, I think you heard that, I'm being prompted on my phone to verify that, yes, I'm trying to sign in. So let's go back to my phone, swipe down from the top, I'll select Approve Sign In, and it comes up, the Authenticator app, that's the little Authenticator app icon, the white lock and the blue square, well, whatever you want to call that, it's not quite a square, not quite oval either. Anyway, let's click Approve, and it's asking me to make sure that I'm me, which is a secondary thing that I do that you probably don't, so you probably won't see that part. And now, when I go back to Firefox, it's asking me, do I want the browser to remember my credentials? And for the sake of this conversation, I'll say yes. You may not want to do that. And you'll see this will take me straight into the portal site, where I can get into my OneDrive, I can get into Outlook, I can get into OneNote, I can get into all of those wonderful things. If I was setting up Outlook on my PC, or trying to access OneNote on my PC, or I was trying to access OneDrive on my PC, or Mac, just to be clear, it applies to both, the same thing would happen with the Authenticator app. I would start the setup of my, let's say, Outlook. For the first time as I go in, it would ask for my email, address, it would start configuring, and then it would say, you need to click Approve on the Authenticator app, just like it did to get into the web page.
Now, I've seen a problem at several clients that occurs after this is done. Outlook may prompt over and over and over again for your username and password, telling you that it's wrong. And we know it's not your credentials, it's not your username and password, because you can log into portal.office.com just fine. You can even get into Outlook on the web just fine inside of portal.office.com. But Outlook is stuck. Fortunately, it's not a rocket science fix, although certainly not easy or convenient. What you need to do is click Start, go into Regedit. You don't need to be an administrator to do this, as it has to be done on the person's profile that's having the problem. And you want to go into HKey Current User, which is the current user that's having troubles. Drill into Software, go to Microsoft, go down to Office, go down to 16, then down to Identity. So that's the path right there. And you need to add this entry. So it's simple enough. You simply right-click, New, D-word value, enable ADOL, and I'm going to screw this one up because I already have it. I don't want to actually put it in twice. And then double-click on it and change the value to 1. ADOL is Azure Active Directory Authentication Library, and it's basically just the way that you can sign in. Outlook is supposed to do this automatically, but we've seen cases where it just doesn't. So if that blows up, you're going to need to add that entry. If you're an admin and this is a company-wide thing, you can just write a script to push this out to everybody. It doesn't hurt to have this entry, at least not from my experience. Unfortunately, you may also be required to rebuild. Once that entry is added, reboot the computer and see if your Outlook works. If it doesn't, it's a simple fix, although annoying. You just have to rebuild the profile. So go into the control panel, click the mail icon, and click Show Profiles, delete the current profile and add a new one, and everything will work fine. At least that's been my experience, and I've had quite a lot of experience with it.
Now, if you found this video useful, we would really appreciate it if you'd click like below, as it very much helps us with the Google algorithms. And if you like this type of thing, we do a lot of Windows 10, Windows Server, Azure, Office 365, a lot of how-tos and cookbook stuff. Cookbooks being, specifically how to step-by-step get through the things you need to do to solve your IT problems. Then we would really appreciate it if you click subscribe as well. Again, that's very helpful with the Google algorithm. If you have any questions or concerns, please put them in the comments section, or You can always get a hold of us at www.urtech.ca. Let us know what you thought about this video. Have a great day.